In the bustling halls of the Denver County Courthouse, life was about to take an unexpected turn that would touch the hearts of everyone present. It was a crisp autumn morning when a small 4-year-old boy walked into the courtroom, holding his foster mother's hand tightly. The air was thick with tension, as it usually is during adoption proceedings, but no one could have predicted the extraordinary events that were about to unfold. The boy, dressed in his best blue sweater and khaki pants, had spent the last 2 years bouncing between foster homes. His biological mother, who had once served as a clerk in this very courthouse, had struggled with addiction and eventually lost custody. Unknown to the young child, the judge presiding over his case today was someone who would change his life forever. As the proceedings began, the boy's eyes wandered around the formal courtroom, taking in the wooden panels and the stern faces surrounding him. His foster parents, a loving couple who had cared for him for the past 8 months, stood nervously beside their attorney. They had hoped to make their family complete by adopting this bright-eyed child who had stolen their hearts. The judge, a distinguished woman in her early 40s, entered the courtroom with her usual grace and authority. She had handled countless adoption cases throughout her career, but something about this one felt different. As she settled into her chair and adjusted her robes, she looked down at the case file before her, and her heart skipped a beat. The young boy, who had been quietly observing everything around him, suddenly stood up straight. His eyes widened with recognition, and without warning, he pointed directly at the judge. "Mom," he called out, his voice echoing through the stunned courtroom. The single word hung in the air like a delicate crystal, threatening to shatter the professional atmosphere. Time seemed to stand still as everyone in the courtroom held their breath. The judge's composed exterior cracked slightly as she gripped the edge of her desk. The truth was, she wasn't just any judge, she was the boy's biological mother's college roommate and best friend from 15 years ago. She had lost touch with her friend during the dark years of addiction but had never stopped thinking about her or the child she had sometimes babysat. The foster parents exchanged worried glances, their attorney shuffled papers nervously, and the court clerk stopped typing mid-sentence. The boy's case worker, who had been standing near the back of the courtroom, stepped forward with a file that would confirm what the child's innocent recognition had already revealed. It turned out that the judge had known the boy's mother during better times, back when they were both young and full of dreams. They had shared an apartment during law school, and the judge had been there when her friend first learned she was pregnant. She had watched her friend's descent into addiction with helpless anguish, trying numerous times to intervene before eventually losing contact. The reality of this connection meant the judge would have to recuse herself from the case immediately. However, what happened next would prove that sometimes the greatest blessings come disguised as complications. The judge, fighting back tears, explained to the courtroom that while she couldn't preside over the case, she had information that could help create the best possible outcome for the child. She revealed that the boy's biological mother had recently completed a successful rehabilitation program and had been clean for 18 months. She had been desperately trying to rebuild her life and prove herself worthy of reconnecting with her son, but the system's complexities had prevented her from making contact. The foster parents, who had entered the courtroom expecting to complete an adoption, found themselves facing an unexpected choice. Rather than seeing this development as a threat to their hopes, they showed extraordinary compassion. After meeting with the biological mother and witnessing her transformation, they proposed something remarkable: a cooperative arrangement where the boy could maintain relationships with both families. The story spread through the courthouse like wildfire, touching everyone who heard it. It wasn't just about a surprising coincidence, it was about hope, redemption, and the unexpected ways that people's lives intertwine. Social workers who had become cynical over years of seeing broken families found their faith in humanity renewed. The final resolution wasn't what anyone had expected when they walked into the courtroom that morning. Instead of a traditional adoption, a unique custody arrangement was worked out under a different judge's supervision. The boy would live primarily with his foster parents but have regular, meaningful contact with his biological mother, who continued to work on her recovery with renewed determination. The judge, though no longer officially involved in the case, remained a supportive presence in their lives. She had become a living bridge between the boys' past and present, helping all parties navigate their new relationships with grace and understanding. Her perspective as someone who knew both worlds proved invaluable in creating a stable, loving environment for the child. This extraordinary case became a model for collaborative custody arrangements in Denver County. It demonstrated that with compassion, creativity, and cooperation, there could be more than one way to build a family. The story served as a reminder that sometimes the most beautiful outcomes grow from life's most unexpected moments. Years later, courthouse employees would still talk about the day when a little boy's innocent recognition of a familiar face set in motion a chain of events that would redefine what family could mean. It stood as testimony to the fact that in life's greatest challenges, hope and healing can emerge from the most surprising places, and that sometimes, the truth spoken from a child's heart can light the way to previously unimagined possibilities. The weeks following the courthouse revelation brought unexpected challenges and heartwarming developments that no one could have anticipated. The story, which had initially shocked the local legal community, began to unfold in ways that would touch lives far beyond the courthouse walls. The boys' foster parents, a humble schoolteacher and a local business owner, found themselves navigating unfamiliar territory. They had spent months preparing their home and hearts for an adoption, but now they were pioneering a new kind of family arrangement. Their living room became the setting for careful discussions about schedules, boundaries, and most importantly, what would be best for the child they all loved. The biological mother's journey became an inspiration to many in the recovery community. She had maintained her sobriety not just for herself, but for the chance to be part of her son's life again. Working as a waitress during the day and taking online classes at night, she was rebuilding her life piece by piece. Her small apartment gradually filled with children's books and toys, each one carefully chosen for the supervised visits she now looked forward to every week. The judge, though officially removed from the case, found herself in an unexpected role. Her unique position as someone who knew both the old and new chapters of this story made her an invaluable bridge between all parties. She shared stories of the biological mother's earlier years, of her quick wit, her kindness, and the dreams she had before addiction took hold. These stories helped the foster parents see the whole person behind the case file. The boy, still too young to fully understand the complex adult world swirling around him, showed remarkable resilience. His innocent question in the courtroom had set in motion events that would shape not just his future, but the futures of everyone involved. He began to flourish in ways that surprised even his therapist, who noted how the stability of his foster home combined with the healing presence of his biological mother created an environment where he felt truly secure. At the local diner where the biological mother worked, customers began noticing a change in her. The tired eyes and uncertain smile were replaced by a quiet confidence. Regular patrons who had watched her struggle through early recovery now saw her posting her son's artwork by the cash register. Her co-workers, who had initially been skeptical, became her strongest supporters, often swapping shifts so she could attend family therapy sessions or her son's preschool events. The foster parents' home underwent subtle changes too. Photos of the boy with both families began appearing on walls and shelves. Holiday celebrations expanded to include new faces and traditions. Their other children, initially confused by the arrangement, began to understand that families could come in all shapes and sizes. They watched their parents navigate complicated situations with grace and learned valuable lessons about compassion and forgiveness. The courthouse staff, who had witnessed countless family dramas unfold within those walls, found themselves particularly invested in this case. The bailiff who had been present that fateful day would often ask for updates. The court clerk who had frozen mid-type during the dramatic revelation became an unofficial chronicler of the story, sharing its developments with new employees as an example of how justice and humanity could work hand in hand. The legal community took notice too. What had started as an unusual coincidence became a case study in collaborative custody arrangements. Family court judges from neighboring counties requested details about how the arrangement worked, interested in how this model might help other families in similar situations. Social workers began citing the case when encouraging foster parents to consider more flexible arrangements. The boy's preschool teachers noticed positive changes in his behavior. Where he had once been withdrawn and hesitant to form attachments, he now participated enthusiastically in activities and formed strong friendships. His artwork, once filled with dark colors and isolated figures, began featuring bright colors and multiple people holding hands. During show and tell, he proudly shared stories about both his families, his face lighting up as he described weekend activities with his biological mother or evening stories with his foster parents. Community support grew in unexpected ways. A local family counseling center, inspired by the story, started a support group for families in similar situations. The boy's foster parents became regular speakers, sharing their experiences and offering guidance to others in navigating complex family dynamics. The biological mother occasionally joined these sessions, her honest accounts of recovery and redemption bringing hope to others struggling with similar challenges. The judge found herself reflecting often on how a child's simple question had catalyzed such profound change. In her chambers, she kept a small frame containing the courtroom sketch from that day, a reminder that sometimes the most meaningful moments in law come not from complex legal arguments, but from simple human connections. As the seasons changed and the initial shock of the courtroom revelation faded into memory, something beautiful emerged from the complexity. A new kind of family took shape, one built not on traditional structures but on understanding, compassion, and the shared love for a child. The story became less about the dramatic moment of recognition and more about the daily choices each person made to put the child's well-being first. This arrangement, though unique, began to feel natural to everyone involved. Weekend park visits, school events, and holiday celebrations became opportunities for both families to demonstrate how adults could set aside their own expectations and work together for a child's benefit. The boy, surrounded by people committed to his happiness and growth, thrived in ways that validated everyone's efforts and sacrifices. As the story of the courthouse recognition entered its third month, life took on new rhythms and patterns that no one could have predicted. The impact of that momentous day continued to ripple outward, touching lives in increasingly meaningful ways. The boy's biological mother had started taking evening classes at the local community college, studying social work with the hope of someday helping other families navigate similar situations. Her professors were moved by her personal essays, which detailed her journey from rock bottom to redemption. One instructor, particularly touched by her story, connected her with a nonprofit organization that helped parents in recovery rebuild relationships with their children. During one particularly memorable weekend visit, the boy showed his biological mother a school project he'd been working on. It was a family tree, but unlike traditional ones, this tree had multiple branches growing in different directions, each one representing the various people who had become part of his extended family. His teacher had been so impressed by his creative interpretation that she'd asked permission to share it with other classes as an example of how modern families could look. The foster parents' commitment to making this unusual arrangement work caught the attention of the state's Child Welfare Department. They were invited to speak at a conference about alternative custody arrangements, where their honest account of both the challenges and rewards touched many hearts. Social workers and foster care advocates began referring to their case as the Denver model, seeing it as a potential template for similar situations. The judge's role evolved in unexpected ways. Though she maintained professional boundaries, she found herself becoming an informal mentor to both families. Her unique perspective helped smooth over rough patches, and her office became a safe space where difficult conversations could take place. She started keeping a journal of her observations, believing that someday these insights might help other families in similar situations. One autumn afternoon, an incident at the local playground demonstrated just how far everyone had come. The boy had fallen and scraped his knee, and both his biological mother and foster mother happened to be there. Without hesitation or awkwardness, they worked together to comfort him, one cleaning the wound while the other distracted him with silly stories. Other parents at the playground watched in amazement as this unconventional family handled the situation with such natural grace. The local diner where the biological mother worked became an unexpected hub of hope. Customers who had followed her story began sharing their own experiences with addiction and recovery. The owner, moved by the impact her story was having, created a small bulletin board near the entrance where people could post resources for families dealing with similar challenges. It became known as the Hope Corner, and its messages of encouragement and support touched countless lives. The foster parents' other children showed remarkable growth through this experience. Their oldest, a quiet 12-year-old, wrote a school essay about what family means that brought tears to her teacher's eyes. The younger ones naturally included both mothers when drawing family pictures, showing how easily children can adapt to and embrace new family structures when given the chance. During the holiday season, something extraordinary happened. What could have been an awkward negotiation over where the boy would spend Christmas turned into a beautiful example of cooperation. The families decided to celebrate together, blending traditions and creating new ones. The judge was invited to join them for Christmas dinner, where she watched with joy as the boy opened presents surrounded by people who had put aside their own expectations for his happiness. The courthouse, once just a place of legal proceedings, had become a symbol of hope for many. Workers there would sometimes see the boy visiting his biological mother during her lunch breaks, his laughter echoing through the halls where tension and anxiety usually reigned. The security guards would smile and wave, remembering the day that changed everything. The biological mother's recovery group invited her to share her story at their annual celebration. Standing at the podium, her voice trembling but strong, she spoke about how her son's innocent recognition of the judge had opened a door she thought was forever closed. Her testimony inspired others to keep pushing forward, showing that redemption was possible even from the darkest places. The foster parents faced their own challenges with grace. When questioned about their unusual arrangement by other foster families, they spoke honestly about the difficulties but always emphasized the rewards. They explained how watching their foster son flourish with the love of both families made any complications worthwhile. Their commitment to putting the child's needs first became a powerful example for others in the foster care system. The boy himself continued to thrive in ways that amazed everyone around him. His ability to move seamlessly between both families showed a remarkable emotional intelligence. In therapy sessions, he expressed feeling special rather than confused about his situation, proud to have so many people who loved him. His artwork became more elaborate, now featuring detailed scenes of both his homes and all the people who made up his unique family constellation. Local media eventually caught wind of the story, but both families and the judge agreed to maintain their privacy, allowing only the broad outlines to be shared. They understood that their story's power lay not in its publicity but in its quiet example of how love, understanding, and cooperation could transform lives. The story became a beacon of hope for others in the community facing similar challenges. It showed that with commitment, creativity, and compassion, even the most complicated family situations could evolve into something beautiful. The boy's innocent question in the courtroom had not just changed his life, it had helped reshape how an entire community thought about family, forgiveness, and the possibility of second chances. As spring bloomed in Denver, the unique family arrangement that had started with a child's innocent question in a courtroom continued to evolve in beautiful and unexpected ways. The story entered a new chapter, bringing fresh challenges and heartwarming developments that touched everyone involved. The boy, now approaching his 5th birthday, had begun to ask more questions about his special family situation. His natural curiosity led to thoughtful conversations that showed wisdom beyond his years. During one memorable evening, while helping his foster mother bake cookies, he asked why some of his friends at school seemed confused about his family. His foster mother took this opportunity to explain how families come in all different shapes and sizes, and how lucky he was to have so many people who loved him. The biological mother's progress continued to inspire those around her. She had completed her first semester of social work courses with outstanding grades, and her professors often used her assignments as examples of authentic, lived experience informing academic work. During one class presentation about family dynamics, she courageously shared her story, moving many of her classmates to tears and prompting discussions about reform in the family court system. A pivotal moment came when the boys' school hosted a Family Day event. What could have been an awkward situation became a powerful testament to their unique arrangement. Both sets of parents attended, along with the judge who had become such an important part of their extended family. Teachers and other parents watched in amazement as the boy proudly introduced everyone, his face beaming with joy as he explained how each person played a special role in his life. The foster father, who had initially been the most hesitant about the arrangement, experienced a profound shift in perspective. During a father-son fishing trip, he watched as the boy shared stories about both his families with simple, unguarded happiness. This moment crystallized for him the true meaning of putting a child's needs first. He later shared this experience at a foster parent support group, helping other families understand the potential benefits of more open and flexible arrangements. The courthouse, where everything had begun, underwent its own transformation. The judge's courtroom, known for its formal atmosphere, had become a symbol of hope for families facing similar challenges. She had started keeping a small box of children's books in her chambers, remembering how the boy's presence had humanized the legal proceedings that day. Other judges began following her example, making their courtrooms more welcoming to young children involved in family cases. The biological mother's workplace continued to be a source of support and inspiration. Her regular customers now included several parents in recovery who sought her advice and encouragement. The diner's Hope Corner had grown to include resources for education, job training, and family counseling. The owner, seeing the positive impact, started a monthly support group meeting in the diner after hours, where people could share their stories over coffee and pie. A touching development occurred when the boy started taking art classes at the local community center. His artwork began to reflect his unique understanding of family and love. One particular painting, showing two houses connected by a rainbow bridge with happy figures on both sides, was selected for display at a children's art exhibition. The local newspaper covered the story, carefully respecting the family's privacy while highlighting the positive message about modern family structures. The foster parents' other children continued to provide valuable perspectives on their unusual family arrangement. Their teenage daughter started a blog about her experiences as part of this blended family, offering insights that helped other young people in similar situations feel less alone. Her honest, age-appropriate posts about adapting to change and accepting different types of families resonated with readers across the country. The judge's role evolved as she began working with legal advocacy groups to develop guidelines for collaborative custody arrangements. She shared the lessons learned from this case, while carefully maintaining the family's privacy. Her efforts led to changes in how the local court system approached complex family situations, emphasizing cooperation and the child's emotional well-being over rigid traditional structures. During a routine therapy session, the boy's counselor noted remarkable progress in his emotional development. Unlike many children in foster care situations, he showed strong attachment capabilities and a secure sense of identity. The therapist began documenting this case as an example of how unconventional arrangements, when handled with care and commitment, could provide optimal conditions for a child's emotional growth. The biological mother reached a significant milestone in her recovery journey, 2 years of sobriety. The celebration brought together both families, courthouse staff who had witnessed the original event, and members of her support group. The boy presented her with a handmade card that read, "Proud of you, Mommy," a moment that left no dry eyes in the room. As summer approached, the families faced the exciting challenge of planning the boy's first real vacation. Instead of treating it as a logistical problem, they turned it into an opportunity for creativity. They planned a camping trip where both families could participate on different days, allowing the boy to create memories with everyone while maintaining comfortable boundaries. The story's influence continued to spread through the foster care community. Social workers began using it as a case study in training sessions, emphasizing how flexibility and cooperation could create positive outcomes for children in complex situations. The Denver model was being studied by family courts in other states, with professionals recognizing the potential for similar arrangements in appropriate cases. What had started as a surprising moment in a courtroom had grown into something much larger, a living example of how love, understanding, and cooperation could transcend traditional family boundaries. The boy's innocent question had not just changed the lives of those directly involved, it had helped reshape how an entire community thought about family, redemption, and the power of second chances. As summer turned to autumn, the remarkable story that had begun in a Denver courtroom continued to unfold in ways that touched and transformed lives throughout the community. The boy's 6th birthday approached, marking almost 2 years since that fateful day when a simple question had changed everything. The biological mother had become a beacon of hope in the recovery community. Her dedication to both her studies and her son's well-being inspired others fighting similar battles. During one particularly moving speaking engagement at a rehabilitation center, she shared how her son's unexpected courtroom recognition had become the catalyst for not just maintaining her sobriety, but for building a life she never thought possible. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, an unexpected situation arose that demonstrated just how far everyone had come. The boy fell ill at school with a high fever, and both mothers arrived at the nurse's office within minutes of each other. Instead of awkwardness or tension, they worked together seamlessly, one calling the pediatrician while the other gathered his things. The school nurse later shared this story at a staff meeting as an example of how co-parenting could work at its best. The foster parents' home had evolved into a warm gathering place for their extended family. Sunday dinners became a tradition where both families would come together, share meals, and create memories. The kitchen walls now displayed artwork from all the children, including special pieces that the boy created showing his unique family constellation. These gatherings became known in their neighborhood as a testament to how love could bridge any divide. The judge's influence extended far beyond her courtroom. She began working with state legislators to draft new guidelines for foster care and adoption procedures that emphasized flexibility and cooperation between biological and foster families when appropriate. Her experiences with this case had shown her that the traditional either/or approach to custody wasn't always in a child's best interest. The boy's academic progress surprised and delighted his teachers. Despite the complexity of his home life, or perhaps because of it, he showed remarkable emotional intelligence and adaptability. During a class project about family heritage, he proudly presented about both his families, explaining how having different sets of parents made him feel special rather than different. His presentation moved his teacher to tears and became a powerful lesson for his classmates about acceptance and love. The local diner where the biological mother worked had become something of a landmark in the recovery community. The Hope Corner bulletin board had expanded to take up an entire wall, filled with success stories, resource information, and messages of encouragement. The owner had started offering free meals to families working to reunify after addiction, inspired by how his employee's story had touched so many lives. A breakthrough moment came when the foster mother discovered she was expecting a baby. Instead of causing tension or uncertainty, the news brought everyone closer together. The biological mother was one of the first people they told, and her genuine joy and excitement showed how far their relationship had come. The boy's response was particularly heartwarming. He couldn't wait to be a big brother and talked about how the baby would have extra everything, just like him. The courthouse staff had taken the lessons from this case to heart. The clerk who had witnessed the original recognition day started a support group for court employees dealing with difficult family cases. They met monthly to share stories and strategies for maintaining hope and compassion in challenging situations. The boy's story became a touchstone for these discussions, a reminder that extraordinary outcomes were possible. During a routine family therapy session, the therapist noted something remarkable. The boy had developed an unusually sophisticated understanding of love and family. When asked to draw his family, he created an intricate picture showing two houses connected by a bridge, with happy figures on both sides and a sun shining above. The therapist later used this drawing, with permission, to help other children understand that families can take many forms. The foster father's initial hesitation about their arrangement had transformed into passionate advocacy. He began mentoring other foster fathers, helping them navigate the complex emotions that came with sharing parental responsibilities. His honest accounts of his journey from skepticism to wholehearted support helped other families see the possibilities in their own situations. The biological mother's progress in her social work studies led to an unexpected opportunity. Her professors, impressed by her insights and lived experience, invited her to help develop a new course curriculum about family reunification and collaborative custody arrangements. Her contribution would help future social workers understand the practical and emotional aspects of such situations. The community's response to their story continued to grow in positive ways. Local family court judges began referring to their case when encouraging other families to consider more flexible arrangements. Social workers cited their example during training sessions, and foster parent support groups used their story to illustrate the possibilities that could emerge from keeping an open mind and heart. As the boy grew, his understanding of his unique situation deepened. During a quiet moment with his foster mother, he asked why some people found his family hard to understand. Her gentle explanation about how love can take many forms, and how lucky he was to have so many people caring for him, became a cornerstone of his growing self-awareness. He began to see his situation not as something that made him different, but as something that made him specially blessed. The story's influence continued to ripple outward, touching lives in unexpected ways. A local filmmaker approached the families about creating a documentary on collaborative custody arrangements, promising to keep their identities private while sharing their inspiring message. After careful consideration and family discussions, they agreed to participate, hoping their experience could help others navigate similar situations. What had started as a surprising moment in a courtroom had become a powerful testament to the possibilities that could emerge when people chose love and cooperation over conflict and rigid traditions. The boy's innocent question had not just changed the trajectory of his own life, it had helped an entire community reimagine what family could mean. As winter settled over Denver, bringing with it a blanket of snow and holiday excitement, the unique family arrangement that had started with a child's courtroom revelation continued to flourish and inspire. The approach of the new year brought fresh developments and touching moments that further cemented the bonds between all involved. The boy's academic achievements became a source of pride for both families. During the winter science fair, his project about different types of families won first place. He had interviewed children from various family structures, including his own unique situation, creating a presentation that celebrated diversity in modern family life. The school principal was so impressed that she invited him to share his project during a parent-teacher association meeting. The biological mother's journey took an unexpected turn when she was offered an internship at a family advocacy center. Her personal experience, combined with her ongoing social work studies, made her uniquely qualified to help other families navigate complex custody situations. She found herself working alongside professionals who had once overseen her own case, now as a colleague rather than a client. One snowy evening, a minor emergency brought everyone together in an unexpected way. The foster parent's car broke down while taking the boy to his weekly piano lesson. Without hesitation, his biological mother left work early to help, bringing hot chocolate and warm blankets while they waited for the tow truck. The piano teacher, witnessing this collaboration, later commented that she had never seen such seamless co-parenting in action. The judge's influence on family court practices continued to grow. She organized a conference focusing on innovative approaches to custody arrangements, bringing together legal professionals, social workers, and mental health experts. The boy's case, while keeping identities private, became a central example of how creative solutions could benefit children in complex family situations. The holiday season brought a particularly touching moment when the boy participated in his school's winter concert. Both families sat together in the audience, sharing proud smiles as he performed a solo piece on the piano. The music teacher later remarked how the boy's confidence had grown, attributing it to the stable and loving environment created by his unique family structure. At the local diner, the biological mother's influence had created lasting change. The owner had transformed the establishment into a community hub for families in transition. Weekly support group meetings now filled the space after hours, and the Hope Corner had inspired similar initiatives in diners across the city. Regular customers often commented on how the atmosphere had shifted from just a place to eat to a sanctuary of hope and healing. The foster parents' experience led to an innovative community project. They started a mentoring program for other families navigating complex custody situations. Their approach emphasized open communication, flexibility, and keeping the child's needs at the center of all decisions. The program quickly gained support from local family service organizations and became a model for similar initiatives in neighboring counties. The boy's artistic expression continued to evolve in meaningful ways. His art teacher noticed how he used color and composition to represent his emotional connections. One particular piece, showing a garden with flowers of different types growing together, became part of a traveling exhibition about children's perspectives on family. The artwork's description thoughtfully explained how different kinds of love could bloom in the same garden. The courthouse staff witnessed another touching moment and the boy visited during Take Your Child to Work Day. He confidently navigated the halls where his story began, greeting security guards and clerks by name. The judge, seeing him in her courtroom again, was struck by how much had changed since that first surprising encounter. His presence reminded everyone that behind every case file was a human story waiting to unfold. The foster mother's pregnancy brought the families even closer together. The biological mother helped organize the baby shower, and the boy took his role as future big brother very seriously. During the celebration, guests watched in amazement as both mothers collaborated on games and activities, their genuine friendship evident in every interaction. It was a powerful demonstration of how love could multiply rather than divide. The impact on the foster care system continued to grow. Social workers began incorporating lessons from their case into their training materials, emphasizing the importance of remaining open to unconventional solutions. The Denver model gained attention from child welfare organizations across the country, with professionals recognizing how flexibility and cooperation could create better outcomes for children in care. A particularly moving moment occurred during a routine family therapy session when the boy described his family using a metaphor that surprised everyone. He compared his situation to a book with two different but equally important covers, protecting and beautifying the same precious stories inside. The therapist later shared this insight at a professional conference, highlighting how children could develop sophisticated understanding of complex family dynamics when given proper support. The local community college where the biological mother studied invited her to speak at their graduation ceremony. Her speech about second chances and the power of unexpected moments touched hearts and changed perspectives. Several students approached her afterward, sharing how her story had inspired them to pursue careers in social work or family advocacy. The documentary project about their story entered its final stages, carefully preserving the family's privacy while sharing their powerful message. Early screenings brought tears and hope to audiences, particularly among foster families and those in recovery. The film became a tool for training and inspiration, showing how tragedy could transform into triumph through love, understanding, and cooperation. As spring approached again, bringing with it the promise of new beginnings, the families prepared to celebrate another milestone together. The boy's improved grades and social skills had earned him a spot in an advanced learning program, and both families worked together to ensure he could make the most of this opportunity. Their collaboration showed how their unique arrangement continued to create advantages rather than obstacles for the child at its center. As spring blossomed into full flower, the story that had begun with a child's innocent question in a Denver courtroom continued to touch lives in profound and unexpected ways. The arrival of the foster parents' new baby brought fresh dimensions to their already unique family dynamic. The boy had taken to his role as big brother with remarkable enthusiasm and maturity. During the baby's first days at home, he proudly showed both his biological mother and foster mother how he could help with simple tasks like fetching diapers or singing lullabies. His natural ability to move between both worlds of his family seemed to have prepared him perfectly for this new role of loving protector and guide. The biological mother's graduation from community college became a celebration that united both families in joy. As she walked across the stage to receive her associate's degree in social work, the sound of her son's excited cheering rose above the crowd. The judge, who had been invited as a special guest, watched with pride as the woman she had once known as a struggling young mother accepted her diploma with tears of accomplishment in her eyes. An unexpected opportunity arose when a national conference on innovative family court practices invited the judge to be their keynote speaker. While maintaining the family's privacy, she shared how this case had transformed her understanding of justice and family dynamics. Her speech sparked important discussions about reforming custody arrangements nationwide, with several states expressing interest in adopting similar flexible approaches. The local diner's transformation continued to amaze the community. What had started as a simple Hope Corner had evolved into a full-fledged community support center. The biological mother now managed these initiatives alongside her regular duties, using her experience and education to help others navigate their own journeys of recovery and family reunification. Regular customers often remarked that they could feel the positive energy the moment they walked through the door. A touching moment occurred during the boys' school talent show. He had prepared a special piano piece, and as he sat at the instrument, he dedicated his performance to "all my parents who helped me grow." The audience's initial confusion quickly turned to understanding and appreciation as they watched both sets of parents beam with pride from different rows, united in their love for this remarkable child. The foster father's mentoring program had grown beyond his initial expectations. Working with local family courts, he developed a structured curriculum for helping other foster parents navigate complex family situations. His workshops often featured video calls with successful blended families across the country, showing that their Denver story wasn't just a one-time miracle but a model that could be replicated with dedication and understanding. The documentary about their story premiered at a local film festival, carefully protecting the family's privacy while sharing their powerful message. The filmmaker had captured the essence of their journey, not just the challenges they'd overcome, but the daily moments of joy, cooperation, and growth that made their arrangement successful. The film received standing ovations and sparked important conversations about redefining family in modern society. The boy's artistic talents continued to flourish in unexpected ways. His art teacher noticed how he had begun incorporating elements from both his homes into his work, creating pieces that spoke to the idea of unity in diversity. One particular series, showing different types of birds sharing the same sky, was selected for display at the city's Children's Museum, accompanied by his thoughtful explanation of how families could be different yet harmonious. The courthouse had undergone its own transformation since that fateful day. The judge had worked with staff to create a more child-friendly environment, with a special focus on making family court proceedings less intimidating for young participants. The room where the boy had first recognized her now featured colorful artwork and comfortable seating, serving as a reminder that even the most formal spaces could be warmed by human connection. The arrival of spring brought another milestone as the boy prepared to participate in his first piano recital. Both families worked together to prepare for the event, with his biological mother handling the photography while his foster parents coordinated the reception. The judge attended as a special guest, marveling at how music had become yet another bridge connecting all the people in the boy's life. The impact on the foster care system continued to expand. Social workers from across the country began visiting Denver to study their model of cooperative custody. They were particularly impressed by how the arrangement had evolved naturally to meet the changing needs of everyone involved, especially with the addition of the new baby to the foster family. During a family therapy session, the therapist noted something remarkable about the boy's emotional development. Despite the complexity of his family situation, or perhaps because of it, he showed an advanced ability to understand and express different types of love. His insights about family bonds helped other children in group therapy sessions understand that love wasn't limited by traditional family structures. The biological mother's internship at the Family Advocacy Center led to a full-time position, where she specialized in helping families navigate complex custody situations. Her personal experience, combined with her education and natural empathy, made her particularly effective at bridging the gap between biological and foster families. She often shared how her own journey had taught her that love could multiply rather than divide when people chose cooperation over conflict. The story's influence reached new heights when a national parenting magazine featured an article about their unique family arrangement. While protecting their privacy, the article highlighted how their example had inspired changes in family court practices and foster care policies across the country. Readers responded with countless letters sharing their own stories of unconventional family solutions. As summer approached, the families began planning their first extended vacation together. They had rented a lakeside cabin where they could all spend time together while still maintaining the comfortable boundaries they had established. The boy's excitement about having all his loved ones in one place reflected how natural their arrangement had become for him. What had started as a surprising moment in a courtroom had evolved into a living testament to the power of love, understanding, and cooperation. The boy's innocent question hadn't just changed individual lives, it had helped an entire community reimagine what family could mean, proving that sometimes the most beautiful bonds are formed in the most unexpected ways. As summer reached its peak in Denver, the remarkable story that had begun with a child's innocent question in a courtroom continued to inspire and transform lives in ways no one could have predicted. 3 years had passed since that fateful day, and the ripple effects of that moment had grown into waves of positive change throughout the community and beyond. The lakeside vacation became a turning point in their journey together. Watching the boy teach his baby sister how to build sandcastles, both families marveled at how naturally their unusual arrangement had evolved. The judge, who joined them for a weekend, sat on the dock with tears in her eyes as she witnessed the profound impact of that courthouse moment years ago. The boy's laughter echoing across the lake became a symbol of how joy could flourish in the most unexpected circumstances. The biological mother's work at the Family Advocacy Center led to an innovative program that would change lives across the state. She developed a curriculum for parents in recovery, focusing on rebuilding family bonds while maintaining healthy boundaries. The program, which she named Bridges of Hope, quickly gained attention from social service agencies nationwide. Her own experience had become a beacon of hope for others facing similar challenges. During the new school year, the boy's teacher noticed something extraordinary about his influence on his classmates. When a new student arrived, struggling with her own complex family situation, the boy naturally stepped in to help her feel less alone. His simple explanation of how families could be different yet equally full of love helped the girl adjust and inspired the teacher to create a more inclusive classroom environment. The foster parents' commitment to sharing their experience led to an unexpected honor when they were invited to testify before the state legislature. Their testimony about the benefits of flexible custody arrangements, supported by their own success story, helped shape new policies that would make it easier for other families to create similar cooperative relationships. The boy, watching the proceedings from the gallery, beamed with pride as his parents described how love had transformed their lives. The documentary about their story gained national attention, screening at major film festivals and sparking important conversations about family court reform. While maintaining the family's privacy, it captured the essence of their journey, the challenges, the triumphs, and the daily moments of grace that made their arrangement work. Social workers began using the film as a training tool, showing how creativity and compassion could transform seemingly impossible situations. The judge's courtroom had become a model for family-friendly justice across the country. Other courts began adopting her approaches, creating spaces where children felt safe and heard. She often shared how that one moment with a little boy had transformed not just his life, but her entire approach to family law. Her chambers became known as a place where hope and healing were as important as legal precedents. The local diners, Hope Corner, had inspired similar initiatives in restaurants across the city. The biological mother's regular customers now included social workers, counselors, and families in various stages of recovery and reunification. The owner had expanded the concept to include monthly community dinners where families could share their stories and support each other's journeys. The walls, once bare, now displayed photographs and letters from families who had found hope and healing within its walls. A particularly moving moment occurred during the boy's first piano concerto. As he sat at the grand piano, his fingers moving confidently across the keys, both families watched with tears of joy. The piece he performed was an original composition he had written titled My Family Symphony, incorporating melodies that represented each person in his unique family constellation. The standing ovation that followed celebrated not just his musical talent, but the beautiful harmony his families had created together. The foster mother's parenting blog had grown into a valuable resource for families navigating complex custody situations. Her honest accounts of their journey, while protecting privacy, helped others see the possibilities in their own circumstances. The comments section became a supportive community where parents could share their challenges and celebrations, guided by the example of how love could transcend traditional family boundaries. The courthouse staff organized a special celebration to mark the 3rd anniversary of the day that had changed everything. The security guards, clerks, and administrators who had witnessed that remarkable moment gathered to share their memories and celebrate the positive changes it had inspired. The boy, now older but still carrying that same innocent wisdom, thanked everyone for being part of his story. The impact on the foster care system continued to evolve in meaningful ways. The Denver model had been adopted by family courts in several states, with social workers reporting improved outcomes for children in complex custody situations. Training programs now emphasize the possibility of cooperative arrangements, showing how flexibility and creativity could serve children's best interests. The boy's artistic expressions had matured alongside his understanding of family. His latest series of paintings, displayed in the courthouse gallery, showed families as constellations in the night sky, different patterns of stars creating unique but equally beautiful formations. Visitors often stood before these works for long moments, moved by their simple yet profound message about the nature of love and belonging. During a quiet evening at home, as both families gathered for their weekly dinner, the boy shared something that touched everyone deeply. He explained that while some people had trouble understanding his family, he saw it as a gift, a chance to experience love in all its different forms. His wisdom, born from that innocent courtroom question years ago, had grown into a deep appreciation for the unique way his life had unfolded. The story's influence reached an international audience when family court judges from other countries began studying their model. While the specifics of their arrangement might not work for everyone, the underlying principles, putting the child's needs first, maintaining flexibility, and choosing cooperation over conflict, proved universal. Their experience became a case study in how justice systems could evolve to better serve modern families. As autumn approached once again, bringing with it new beginnings and possibilities, the families reflected on their extraordinary journey. What had started as a surprising moment in a courtroom had grown into something far more significant, a living testament to the power of love, understanding, and the courage to embrace unexpected possibilities. The boy's story had become more than just a remarkable coincidence, it had become a catalyst for change, showing how one innocent question could open hearts and minds to new ways of thinking about family, justice, and the bonds that connect us all. In the end, it wasn't just about a child recognizing a judge, it was about a community learning to recognize the unlimited potential of love to transform lives.